What up, nerds? Welcome to Not Your Status Quo's Spider-Man Far From Home Theories.
And remember, if you like the video, smash that like button, subscribe, hey, show your friends.
And ring the bell to be notified of future videos.
Because I am going on vacation.
Okay, first up, let's talk about Mysterio.
Okay.
You know, a lot like the comics, starts out as a good guy, becomes a bad guy. Is that how you guys see the movie playing out?
I think he's gonna come out trying to be a good guy, trying to look like a good guy, and we're gonna see him in the end as a bad guy. That's how I think it's gonna end up.
I see this going maybe a different direction, and the only reason why I say that is Captain Marvel. We were led to believe that the Skrulls were the bad guys, and they obviously changed that around for that movie. I think maybe Marvel's going to pull another fast one. I think that everybody expects Mysterio to be a bad guy, and I think they're going to pull the carpet out from under us, and he's going to turn out to be some secret good guy, and hell, maybe there's going to be another Mysterio from another multiverse who is going to be a bad one. Maybe this one just happens to be...
If this is a Quentin Beck from another Earth, maybe he is a good guy.
Yeah.
And the Quentin Beck from our Earth, or this Earth, or the MCU Earth, whatever you want to call it, is the bad guy. So maybe you're right. Maybe he is going to end up, it's not his special effects causing these monsters or anything, but it's actually him trying to defend this Earth, because maybe he lost his own. And, Marvel does like to kind of make everyone be led down a certain path. This is what's going to happen, and then they kind of pull the rug out from under us. And you're right, the Skrulls is a great example.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody thought, you watch our Captain Marvel theories video, we kept talking about who was going to be a Skrull, and this is leading in a secret invasion. And then you see the movie, you're like, oh, not so much.
Just to the good guys.
Yeah.
In that movie. I think that
in that movie.
down the road, so we're going to have bad Skrulls.
No, absolutely. They're a big enough, and they're a warlike enough race. In Captain Marvel, they were at a low point, so they needed allies. So they helped where they could, and seemed like they were good guys, but they'll turn around.
But for Mysterio, I just that's the first thing I thought of was that what they did with the Skrulls, and thought, all right, they're doing a backwards thing. I think they're misrepresenting the movie in the trailer, and I don't think anyone's gonna mind. It's gonna be a plot twist for those not expecting it. I think he's gonna turn out to be a bad guy. I don't like the whole multiverse theory, and to me, it's just like, all right, you can't do anything with the laws of physics here, but on my Earth, I can bring this back over. And to me, it's kind of like lazy writing. I'm not a writer myself, but if you can't conjure up something on this planet and then you have to go to another dimension to get it, that I lose interest.
Well, you can do the multiverse without doing, we have a ultimate nullifier on our Earth, and that'll save the day. It's just, different people and different things going on, and, maybe Earth's destroyed in one of them, and, it doesn't have to be, we have something that'll save the day here. I think it's going to be more about people. MCU has never been about, weapons of mass destruction.
Right.
In that, it was always more character driven. And I think we'll be able to see. And I wonder if they're introducing the multiverse. If they're actually introducing the multiverse.
I don't mind if they do.
No, I don't either.
And if you remember from, I don't think it was the trailer that we broke down, but there was another little snippet where he actually uses the term 616 as the.
Oh no, it's the storage unit where Ant-Man was.
No, not just that. There was a
commercial for Far
From Home, and he does mention this is Earth 616. My Earth was destroyed. I'm the only survivor. So
I don't see that one.
Yeah, I see. I don't mind the idea of the multiverse, but then again, I've been reading comics because I'm a nerd. So I know way more about the Spider-Man universe than I probably should as a 30-something adult. But yeah, so I guess I'm used to it. I don't mind it that much.
Well, and for me, as long as they do it well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they can write it well and do good things with it. So
it would be the MCU. They've only really had 2 bad movies. So
as long as they're able to keep Sony, under reins and don't let them, go off the handle with this.
As long as they're making money for Sony with these movies, Sony's going to stay on board, because I think Sony proved that their Spider-Man movies probably aren't going to make as much as him in the MCU, and all they do is pay Marvel to make them, and they get all of the profits from it.
But Keith, Electro was amazing.
Okay, we're definitely not getting into unfortunate Jamie Foxx's Electro from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I don't want to start crying on film, so...
I know you asked this before the video, but as far as the conversation goes, I do have one, and I want to say it before I forget. What is up? Do you guys think Venom is going to be in this movie?
No.
Post-credit scene?
Venom will absolutely not be in this movie.
No, I don't see that happening.
The only thing that, if they're going to try to work Venom in, because I know there's been a lot of rumors out there about first Deadpool was going to be in Spider-Man 3, and Kevin Feige has shot that down. Once again, still could be true, but he's shooting it down for now. And then a rumor came up that Venom was going to appear in the third MCU Spider-Man film, which could happen. Could be, Tom Hardy, which would be awesome. Sony and Marvel obviously have to work it out and they're going to have to do something. If there is a post-credit, if Venom is in it at all, which I don't think he's going to be, and it could be a post-credit scene of the, organism crash landing on Earth on a ship and looking for a host. But I don't think he'll factor into the main movie at all.
No. Just kind of playing off that a little bit, I think the only way Venom is ever going to appear in this iteration of Spider-Man is the Flash Thompson version. I could maybe see that down the road. I don't think it's going to happen in this movie, but if they're going to put the symbiote in this version of Spider-Man, I think they might go with that route.
Yeah, they definitely might. I could see that.
And that's the Flash that becomes part of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
It is, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Agent Venom. So let's talk about the elementals. Are they actual elementals, or are they Hydro Man, Molten Man, and Sandman?
Or are they not even real creatures and they're something that Mysterio created?
Like a hologram.
Yeah.
And that could be, and I'm thinking, only because it would be a very nice way to introduce these three villains into the MCU, is him saying, oh my god, these monsters are attacking these cities and we have to stop them, when he's actually working with Hydro Man, Molten Man, and Sandman to do this. Once again, the Quentin Beck from our Earth was trying to play off being a good guy at first.
Oh, yeah.
And then they found out that he was behind it all, and, he's been a bad guy ever since. So if they do go that route, I could see him, two things. Like Doug said, it's his illusions and it's this thing going on, or he's actually working with these other villains. And that would be a good way to get all of these villains into the MCU pretty quickly. Because, eventually they're going to need to have Sandman, they're going to need to have Hydro Man, even Molten Man as Spidey villains at some point. If that's leading towards some Sinister Six.
And Sony has been all about trying to get out of Sinister Six. They've been talking about it ever since Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. They've been trying to do this for a while, so it might be their way of making it happen. So I'm a little torn about it. I'm not entirely sure. On one hand, I want to think that they are, actual creatures that are here, villains. But at the same time, if that is the case, this would be the MCU's first introduction to a to a metahuman that wasn't created with an Infinity Stone. If you think about it, Pietro and Wanda, they were both given their gifts, their abilities, or they were enhanced anyway, by the Infinity Stones, as was Captain Marvel. Peter Parker, he received his through the spider mutation, but they haven't really touched on it all that much. They've avoided the whole,
I don't think they want to tell the story again.
Right? Yeah, I get that, but this would probably be the first official MCU movie where they have introduced that idea that sort of humans with supernatural powers like this could exist.
Well, they kind of did that with Thor. He was an Infinity Stone. Captain America was Super Soldier Serum. So they have done things like that. But you're right. It's been all about Infinity Stones. And this is wrapping up the Infinity Saga. This is the end of Phase 3, end of the Infinity Saga. And it may be that branching into Phase 4, where it's less about the Infinity Stones and more about metahumans.
Mm-hmm.
And now, next topic. Avengers Tower.
Avengers Tower.
We know it was sold. It looks like in the trailer you'll see it. It looks like they're doing some construction work on it. Thoughts on who is going to be the new owners? There's a couple.
So do you
my
want to
thought
talk
is
about
your thought. Yeah, Reed Richards, and that's how that he's going. He's not obviously not in the Fantastic Four yet, but he's still rich. He's a brilliant billionaire. That's my I'm going with you on that.
Well, see, I don't think it's Reed Richards.
No? So
No.
I'm going away from Keith on that one.
I do think it's very likely Norman Osborn, only because there's so many rumors out there about that Norman Osborn is going to be kind of the main villain for the more grounded heroes in Phase 4. And this would be him getting introduced into the MCU. I know, according to reports, Kevin Feige really wants to get his hands on him. And I think that would be the way to introduce him without casting. Because if someone were cast as Norman Osborn, we would have heard it already. I think it's very likely that would have leaked somehow. But if you just have, a sign, maybe the post-credit scene is like, Oscorp opening soon or something like that. That's a good way. You don't have to cast, but it's still introducing him and, bridging that gap into Phase 4 with him being the main villain.
Totally and absolutely agree with you. I think if they're going to introduce the idea that somebody bought Avengers Tower, I think that's how they're going to do it. I think it's going to be either at the very end of the movie or a post-credit scene. The ongoing theory definitely seems to be that it's going to be Norman Osborn. I remember initially there were some thoughts that it could be Reed Richards, could be the new Fantastic Four Tower. I don't know if the MCU is ready to do that yet. I don't know if they're ready to introduce the Fantastic Four into this universe quite yet.
And if they do, I think they would be in the Baxter Building, not the old Avengers Tower.
Right. Agreed, yeah. So I actually have a different theory from both of you guys. So here's my thought. I think this is actually going to be Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin. Now, I understand that he was introduced in the Daredevil TV series on Netflix, but another rumor that I've been hearing floating around is that with its cancellation, that Disney is not considering these canon to the MCU anymore. I think they might use this as a way to reintroduce the Kingpin, who has always been. He was originally introduced as a villain for Spider-Man before he was ever in Daredevil. I think that they're going to use this opportunity to introduce him as one of the more grounded villains, because in the initial comics and in the cartoon series, Wilson Fisk was the one who actually helped create the Sinister Six. He was the one who helped develop the Rhino and Scorpion. And if you guys remember from Homecoming, we did get a hint at who Scorpion could potentially be.
I like that. That's an excellent theory. I mean, it would be that carpet being pulled out from under us again. Everyone thinking it could even be them putting out those theories. Hey, Norman Osborn, Norman Osborn, Norman Osborn. Oh, Wilson Fisk. So, do you think that they'll recast, or do you think they'll have Vincent D'Onofrio being the king?
I think Vincent D'Onofrio is born to play that role.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree. He played it so well.
So maybe they don't keep the show. I don't know. I hadn't heard that they're not going to keep the show as canon, the Daredevil. But it's 3 seasons. The third one was so great. I don't think they'd have to do much to,
work it in.
Yeah, just to work it in.
But yeah, he was always a major villain who was always getting into Spider-Man's way. He was originally introduced as a type of villain who didn't think that he was a villain. He thought that what he was doing was for the greater good, and Spider-Man stopping his plans of making New York better. He thought, I got to get this guy out of the way. So yeah, and so they did actually put out a casting call. Marvel, I'm sure you guys saw this. They put out a casting call for. They said a preferably Caucasian male in his 40s or 50s, and they didn't say much more than that, but they gave him a name. They referred to him as the Benefactor. All right, and they referred to this as a character that would appear in the Spider-Man movies. And that's the main reason why I kind of latched onto the idea that this could be Wilson Fisk, because in some of the iterations, not only was he hidden, as most people did not know that he was the villain, the Kingpin, because he was always a philanthropist, he was also a benefactor of Peter Parker. He brought him in, and he had Peter working in some of his labs before Peter even knew that he was a villain.
Because he did seem, they even handled that in Daredevil. He starts out, the city thinks he's doing good.
Oh, yeah.
When you find out, he's drugs and everything else, he thinks the ends justify the means, no matter how you get there. And I think that would play well.
We saw that actually in the Spider-Verse as well, where he's putting on a big gala and, I'm sorry to see Spider-Man go sort of memorial thing for him. Yeah. So, yeah, that's definitely something that I could see them doing.
That would be great if they did it. And the Benefactor is vague enough. It could be anybody. It could be Norman Osborn, could be, the Kingpin. I almost called him Vincent D'Onofrio. Vincent D'Onofrio is not the Kingpin. It was just the character he played. Or, it could be Dr. Doom.
Oh, hey.
Who knows who it could be.
Could very well be.
I mean,
I don't think if they're not bringing the San Francisco Four, the Fantastic Four, if they're not bringing them in, they're not bringing Doom in.
I think
no, they won't.
They have a new name.
I think Dr. Doom has to be introduced with the Fantastic Four. They can bring him in an Avengers movie. He's a Fantastic Four villain. Introduce him there, then he can be, overarching bad guy for an entire phase. But they do need to bring him in that. I'm just saying they leave it open enough
Oh, they do. Yeah.
where they can change it. You know, if they originally thinking it's going to be Norman Osborn, and they're like, you know, let's make it Wilson Fisk. We'll save Norman Osborn for, you know, down the road.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool. Now, final topic of the night.
Okay.
If the snapping, whatever you want to call it, was random and took out half the Earth, it seems like it got all of Peter's friends.
It did, yeah.
Well,
So, whoops,
yeah.
spoilers if you still have not somehow seen Endgame or...
Yes, basically at the end of Endgame. If you haven't seen Endgame, seriously, you're probably not going to at this point. You're probably
Right.
not watching this video.
Well, it's coming out again soon, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
So basically, 5 years down the road, they bring back everyone who was snapped. We're assuming everyone who didn't get snapped is 5 years older than the people who came back. So,
So everyone Peter knew
Mm-hmm.
it was gone.
well,
Snapped.
not everyone he knew. Yeah, yes, you're right. Everyone
They
got
got
snapped.
snapped.
All of his main characters
Yes.
that
Yes.
are his buddies. So,
Flash Thompson, MJ, his buddy
Ned.
Yep.
and is this going to be addressed in Home or Far From Home? You know, is it something?
I kind of hope so.
I keep every time they keep talking that they're going to Europe. Is this something to bring them back in, like as some trip? You know, the kids that were 5 years younger than them that didn't get snapped are now in the same grade. Is it a trip to kind of bring them all together and make them one class? Are they going to talk about the people who were gone for 5 years?
I think it's going to be a funnier movie than we think, and it's something that is something that's going to be laughed off. It's going to be handled in jokes, I think.
It very well could be. I do think we see some, you know, the Peter getting over Tony, because this does take place right after the end of Endgame.
It's supposed to be 10 minutes after?
I'm sure it'll be 10 minutes after, but then they'll do a time jump
Yeah.
to, you know,
Mhm.
traveling and
3
everything
months
else.
later.
But I do think, you know, it's going to be, you know, Peter dealing with the death of his mentor at first,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then it's going to turn into, you know, him stepping into this role and becoming Spider-Man, because they've done a good job of, even though he's been in, you know, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, and Homecoming, he's still building into that character that, you know, is beloved in the comics,
Mhm.
and I can't wait to see it. And it looks like he's building his own suit this movie, and he's getting into the things that
It kind of looks like he's truly becoming a representative of the Avengers as well, because again, referencing another, not the trailer that we broke down specifically, but another one of the ads that's been put out. He actually dubs Mysterio an Avenger, and he says, "Welcome to the Avengers." So he is acting on behalf of the Avengers, and the police even say, "So are you the new Iron Man?" So I think he's really coming into his role
Yeah.
as he's been to space. bitch.
I just yes,
Yeah.
which is such a great line. That what you just said made me think of something. He is kind of almost beloved by New York, and what we've seen from the trailers and everything else. You know, the police are kind of joking with him. You know, save some for us, or you know, how you gonna be Iron Man? He's like, I gotta do your jobs. I don't have time. He's so beloved by New York and everyone else. Who is his sort of arch nemesis that always tries to bring him down? J. Jonah Jameson. Are
Oh, he
we
hasn't
going
been
to
introduced
see
yet.
J. Jonah Jameson in this movie?
See, I don't know if because could they really have a better J. Jonah Jameson than the Sam Raimi films?
No,
J.K. Simmons?
J.K. Simmons was perfect for that role.
That's what I was going to say, only if he plays him.
dude.
Yeah, I don't know
He's right
who
on.
else could do it.
That would be amazing. They
Yeah.
have to have J. Jonah Jameson. If they could get J.K. Simmons back, that'd be great,
Oh,
because he
that'd be
was
amazing.
Commissioner Gordon in, well, some films we don't want to discuss now.
Yeah.
But
I don't
obviously
know
not
what
doing
you're
it. Exactly.
Some BV something, I don't know.
So remember, you heard it here first. J.K. Simmons officially cast as J. Jonah. I'm kidding. That is
You're
not
invited,
official anyway.
J.K.
But it'd be great if he was.
Yeah.
And thank you also, J.K. Simmons, for watching this video. Thank you also for sharing it with all of your friends. We're so happy to see that you're going to be getting back into the Spider-Man films.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.